Thank you all for coming to this small gathering to remember and celebrate the life of one David Omer Drury Werfel, a scholar by training, a public intellectual in practice, and of course a Filipino and a great human being at heart. To welcome you all formally, we have the chair of the Department of Political Science here, Dr. Ruth Lusterio Vico.
Thank you, George. May I request everybody to please stand up and invite you to offer a minute of silence to remember Professor David Werfel. Thank you. Good afternoon, friends. The Department of Political Science with the Philippine Political Science Association and the Third World Study Center organized this get-together to commemorate and celebrate the life of a distinguished scholar and esteemed, respected professor and beloved friend. Many of us, I'm sure, have known Professor Werfel professionally and personally and would like to pay tribute to him. I myself am a former student of Professor Werfel. I studied comparative foreign policy under him when he was visiting professor at the Department of Political Science sometime in the 1990s. His deep love for our country is proven not just by his academic work, but also his various advocacies. Through this gathering, we wish to let others know of the legacy that Professor Werfel left with us in the study of Philippine politics. We also express our sympathy to the family of Professor Werfel, his wife Kathy, his children and grandchildren. So as we listen to the sharing of our guests, our friends, we will learn about the life of our dear Professor David Werfel. Thank you.
One of the last forum that where Professor Werfel spoke in UP was precisely here in this hall at the Third World Study Center. So to give her remarks and also to welcome you, we have the director of the Third World Study Center, Professor Ella Atienza.
Thank you, Georgie. Good afternoon to all of you. I will read briefly the statement of the Third World Study Center and at the same time share with you an ongoing activity that we are actually conducting together with Dr. Werfel. With the passing of Dr. David Werfel on the 12th of November 2012, the staff of the University of the Philippines Third World Study Center would like to convey our deepest sympathies to his family, friends, and colleagues in this time of loss. Dr. Werfel had given to the TWSC much generosity and support since its founding in 1977. He has written for Kasarinlan, the Philippine Journal of Third World Studies, on the Philippine party list system. Among his other notable contributions to the Third World Studies Center was the establishment of a Memorandum of Agreement with the University of the Philippines that made possible the Violet Werfel ASEAN Lecture Series, which was named after his mother. Since 2005, the lecture series on peace, social justice, agrarian reform, environmental protection, human rights, and democracy has hosted lectures by experts in Southeast Asian studies, as well as lectures of several progressive politicians in Southeast Asia. When the Memorandum of Agreement was renewed this year, the Third World Studies Center is honored that Dr. Werfel decided to make the center the main partner for UP. And for the past few months, we have been exchanging emails regarding the selection of the topic and the selection of the speaker. We continue to be committed to hold the lecture series in March next year with Dr. Chow of Burma as speaker. And Dr. Werfel has been very active actually in giving his inputs about what should be the topics covered by the lecture, and until the very end, he was very excited about this lecture series. So for the Third World Studies Center, we will finalize the schedule in sometime in March in 2013. But this will not only be a lecture series in honor of Dr. Werfel's mother, but it will also be the Third World Studies Center tribute for Dr. David Werfel. The TWSC looks back with gratitude to what Dr. Werfel had shared with the center and is firm in its commitment to continue his legacy of critical and committed scholarship on Southeast Asia, especially the Philippines, a country that he no doubt loved. Indeed, his fellow scholars have been unabashed in saying that he had been a true friend of the Filipino people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ella. This afternoon we have people who have been, whose lives have been affected by the life of our scholar, David Werfel. And we're joined here by the staff, of course, of the Third World Studies Center, the faculty from the Department of Political Science, and some guests, very distinguished guests. So may I invite Professor Francisco de Menso to give his sharing or remarks on the life of David Omer Jurid Werfel.
First to speak because my wife and I have another appointment to prepare. I would like to thank the Third World Studies Center and the Department of Political Science for this opportunity to pay tribute to a beloved friend and a respected colleague. It was David Werfel's articles on agrarian reform that prompted me to write my master's thesis on Magsaysay's Land for the Landless program. But I leave the other speakers to discuss his contributions to political science and to Philippine studies in particular. Let me just share my memories of David as a human being. He was born an American, but detested American imperialism, especially for it was done and is still doing to the Philippines. He opted for Canadian citizenship in protest against America's war in Vietnam. David was anti-war by religious conviction, not for any geopolitical considerations. David Werfel has shown in his entire life that he truly loved the Philippines. He did not regard the Filipinos merely as a research topic. He took a public stand on controversial issues on confronting our people, even against the interest of the United States. While critical of the institutions and practices of Philippine politicians, he was unlike some journalists and scholars who only look out for the bizarre and ridiculous to write sensational stories. David shared our abiding hope that we will overcome the flaws and rebuild the Philippines into a nation worthy of our pride. He was already a widely published scholar when I was still an undergraduate. I knew him only by reputation and had a few casual conversations with him in Patricaura and Diliman. I came to know him well in Canberra when both of us were visiting fellows at the Department of Political and Social Change at the University, at the Australian National University. We often had tea, afternoon tea, a regular ritual at the ANU, to talk about the latest news on the Philippines. It was in these informal exchanges that I realized David's concern for our country was more than academic. Like other foreign scholars, he felt deeply about the causes we are fighting for. I recall an incident in 1983 after I gave a public lecture on the assassination of Ninoy Aquino. While reading the newspapers at the Philippine section of the Australian National Library, he overheard a Filipino asking the librarian for a copy of my lecture. The librarian, Mr. Bill Tully, recorded my lecture and broadcast portions of it in his radio program that morning. David smelled a rat upon hearing the Filipino introduce himself as my student at ANU, because he knew that we had no Filipino student in our department at that time. He therefore rushed to the phone to tell me about this and to describe this guy's face. When he mentioned his scar on the upper lip, I immediately recognized him as the military attaché of the Philippine Embassy. Angrily, I called up Ambassador Vicente, not to complain about being put under surveillance, because I knew I was being observed, but I expected the spy to be smarter. Because had he come directly to me, I would have given him a copy of the full text. Nakakahiya na pa-James Bond pa at palpak naman. Like all my friends in ANU, David worried about my security at that time. I have taken on a high profile speaking against the dictatorship in Canberra, Sydney, Adelaide, and Melbourne. I appeared before the Minister of Defence Industries to plead for the cancellation of Australian military aid to Marcos. I also gave interviews on television and radio. Once I told David that I missed undergraduate teaching and found out that he felt the same way. Since our department at ANU offered only the PhD degree, we only tutored postgraduate students. Without consulting me, David saw the head of the undergraduate Department of Political Science to suggest that we teach the course on Southeast Asian politics. David was at ANU to work on his book, Filipino Politics, Development and Decay. In this connection, he researched on lupus erythematosus. With his morbid collection of photographs of Marcos's bloated face, he consulted a professor at the Research School of Medical Sciences of the ANU, the world's most famous, the foremost expert on this deadly disease. He wanted to estimate how long it would take lupus to liberate the Philippines. He was so excited about his findings, but I told him that I would rather see the Filipinos overthrow the dictator than to rely on lupus erythematosus. Knowing how I love undergraduate teaching, David recommended me to take his place as visiting professor at the International Christian University in Tokyo. David was quite influential in ICU, I found out, because he was one of the pioneer professors. Soon after he arrived in Canberra, David was invited by a mutual friend, Dr. Herb Feith, to deliver a series of lectures at Monash University in Melbourne. Herb Feith and David Worthall were classmates at Cornell in the 1950s, I think under George Kane. They had not seen each other since their student days. But I warned him about Herb's eccentricities and gave him 4 pieces of advice. First, don't go up the stairs with Herb into his office in the 6th floor because he refuses to use the elevator and insists that you also climb the stairs with him. Second, when you are in his house, don't ask where the toilet is, because Herb had become an extreme vegetarian who eats only vegetables grown in his garden. And if you make a mistake of asking him for the CR, he would give you a bottle and ask you to pee into it because he is collecting urine for himself for fertilizing vegetables. So, if you can help it, avoid the salad. Third, lock up your bedroom door because Herb has a very friendly dog, a huge Dalmatian. In my first night in his house, the Dalmatian joined me in bed and started kissing me. Maskin ko paano ko itulak, ayaw umalis, gusto makipaglaro. Fourth, when Herb is driving with you in his rickety car, pretend to be asleep. Don't engage him in conversation because as he talks, he will have his eyes on you, ignoring the traffic lights and cars in front. David thanked me profusely for this advice. He also had his own horror stories about life with Herb Fifth. The Philippine Political Science Association wisely invited David as keynote speaker at the last conference in Cagayan de Oro. According to Kathy, his wife, the entire family opposed his coming to the Philippines and later visiting the International Christian University in Tokyo because he was already in very bad shape. But he stubbornly insisted. I'm sure he already had a premonition that his days were numbered and he wanted to see the campuses and friends he loved. After that conference, he and Kathy stayed in Balay Calinaw. One morning, when Princess and I were still asleep, the maid frantically knocked at our door. Kuya, ate, may matandang Amerikano na may bigote na gusto makipag-usap sa inyo. Of course, it was David. He walked all the way from Balay Calinaw to my house. Later, he picked up Kathy and had breakfast at Via Mare. I felt so depressed as we bid him goodbye. Princess and I, our princess was less able to control her tears. We knew it would be our last chance to see that wonderful human being. Thank you.
May I now invite Dr. Joel Rocamora to speak.
Bihira na akong pumupunta sa UP. So mag-umpisa muna ako ng isang UP anecdote. But when I was a senior dito sa Arts and Sciences, the dean was the late Cesar Atigmahon. I had become quite friendly with him as an undergraduate. So one morning, we were standing in the lobby during the break between classes and watching the students walk by. And I said to him, Tim, are you allowing younger and younger students to enroll? put his arm around me and said, "Iho, hindi namin binabaan ang age, entrance age. Ang nangyayari, ikaw tumatanda." In the beginning of this program, I was reminded of that story because I thought to myself, are they allowing younger and younger heads of political science department and directors of third world studies and parang they're looking younger and younger. Anyway, pasensya na my voice is not normally this sexy. Blame it on colds, too much travel, too much work. Like Dodong, I was one of the lucky few that David made a point of saying goodbye to. Pero siguro dahil super busy ako, binisita niya ako doon sa opisina ko sa National Anti-Poverty Commission. Hindi pumasok sa isip ko na this is the last time I will see David. But I'm convinced, like you told, that David knew he was saying goodbye to his friends, to the two countries that he loved most. And that's very David. He was deeply personal and sentimental kind of person. If I were a graduate student in political science, I would take the time to study his writings and see what innovations he came up with. But since I'm a refugee from academia who only reads about poverty these days, I can't say very much about the body of work of David. Kasi naman akong time na talagang pag-aralan. Ang alam ko lang is yun, yung mga sinulat niya tungkol sa agrarian reform, tapos yung main na libro niya, na tayo naman lahat, gumamit ng libro niya. But I want to focus more on what Dodong also focused on. David, not the scholar, but David, committed activist, political activist. When he visited me, he must have spent 15 minutes talking about mining and the mining issue. Because I know that one of his passions in Canada was to fight against Marinduque Mining and the Canadian company that owned Marinduque Mining. Yun. So, I mean, here's a man who he probably knew at that time that he was going to die soon. Pero, ayun, he wanted to talk about mining, the mining issue. He wanted me to brief him on where the Aquino administration is on the issue of mining. But another aspect to David's being a political and progressive person has to do with a very personal thing also. I don't know how many of you know, certainly the young ones, but I was forced to go underground at one point. In fact, I was teaching political science, in the middle of the semester I had to leave because I was told that the military was after me. I think, was it you who took over my class? You know, was the one who took over my class. My lucky students. When I was underground, kaya pag sa underground, minsan may mga arrangements mo kung saan ka titira. Don't happen. There was one early evening when I was in Cubao. I was waiting for the person who was going to pick me up and take me to the next place where I was going to hide. And hindi siya dumating. The rule in the underground at that time is when somebody doesn't come that you have an appointment with, don't wait very long. Kasi it's possible you was arrested, tortured, made to talk, and the military will come after you. So after 30 minutes, umalis ako. Problema ko, wala naman ako ibang mapupuntahan. So isip ako, tawag ako ng mga kaibigan, wala naman akong makontak. Finally, late night na, wala na akong ibang maisip. Pumunta ako sa bahay ni Dave. At that time, he was staying in the compound of San Miguel Monte on, I think, E. Rodriguez. I knocked on his door. And when he opened it, he looked like he had seen a ghost. So I said, David, come on. I know I'm from Secure, but I'm not yet a ghost. So, pinaliwanag ko sa kanya ng problema ko. And I noticed it was very, very nice. Kasi ano lang ito, this was late 85. And I knew he was very nervous. Kept asking me, don't you know any other places where you can stay overnight? But then, sabi ko, sige, tulog ka na dito. I woke up around 2 or 3 in the morning. I noticed that David was still awake. I asked him, I said, David, how come you're not sleeping? He said, I'm so nervous. I'm sorry to say, but I'm so nervous I can't sleep. So when the sun came up, umalis na ako kasi parang kawawa naman si David. But here's a guy who was scared na makapati siya, mahuli, ma-deport. But he went through a whole evening of being scared because a friend asked him. Sana kaya kong i-weave yung mga ideas niya sa pagkatao niya. Baka kayo naman ang nandito pa. Ako refugee from academia. So baka you get somebody to study his works. And then yung mga kaibigan niya na wala ng time na mag-aaral ng writings niya, baka meron kami pwedeng i-weave doon sa mga sinulat niya. Sa huli, parang I don't know if it's my age. I suppose it is, but I've had to attend so many wakes in the last 6 or 7 months. Pero ang lumilitaw doon sa mga wake, Siguro dahil karamihan ng mga namamatay ng mga kaibigan ng mga aktivista, mga dating aktivista. Lahat ng mga pamilya nila at saka mga kaibigan nila nag-insist na ang wake hindi regret and sadness but a celebration of